Hi everyone, Cindy Ogden here. I'm president and owner of Fuelit. We are a training solutions company based in Memphis, Tennessee. And I'm guessing that many of you are on the call today because you have suddenly been faced with the new reality of managing a remote team. As if managing people wasn't challenging enough, right? But to be abruptly forced into a situation of managing a remote team presents a whole new level of challenges. Aside from making sure everyone has the right equipment and software, there are many more things that you will need to consider to be effective as a manager and leader during this transition. I've learned a few things through my experience when I ran an IT department that had employees working in several different sites across the US. And now being a small business owner with employees working in different cities, I've learned a few things along the way that I am sharing with you today that will hopefully make your transition a little bit easier. According to a Gallup post last week, about half of all U.S. employees, remote or not, don't know what's expected of them at work. How much worse do you think it will be once you send employees home without good guidance? So it's really important to set clear expectations around everything: expected work time, reachability, productivity, even expenses. So if you're sending employees to work from home and they have always worked at an office, it's really important to set them up for success. To do that, you have to be very clear about your expectations. Are you expecting the same hours as they work in the office? Do you want them to track their time if they're not on a time clock? Do you want them to answer the phone when you call or when a customer calls? Do you expect the same level of productivity that they had while they were in the office? Although I will caution with this one here, because many people who are now working from home might also have kids at home because schools are closed. So be sure to give a little latitude where it's appropriate. Next, you will want to make sure you create a communication strategy. Communication is critical to your success in managing a remote team. Teleworking employees often feel detached from resources, information, or relationships. Consider how many times a day, week, or month that employees stop by to ask you or each other questions. Working remotely means those questions are likely not being asked and decisions are being made without you knowing. Define your communication expectations and share them with your team. Will you have weekly team calls? Will you be expected to be on video like you're sitting around a conference table? What will each employee be responsible for communicating and when? What if there's an emergency and they can't reach you? Who should they contact as a next resort? What are the protocols for communicating with customers? If you leave the office without a clearly defined communication strategy, expect not to be communicated with. Next, you want to lead with trust, not control. No one likes working for a micromanager, and the temptation is great for many managers of remote teams to control everything rather than trusting that the work will be done correctly. Depending on the development stages of your employees, you may find that more coaching calls are needed for someone who's, say, just learning to do the job, as opposed to someone who is a skilled professional that has worked with you for years. Those are the employees you need to trust and let shine. Implement structure. There is something to be said for standards, routine, and structure. Things can seem even more chaotic and out of control without fundamental ground rules and guidelines to follow. Have documented protocols or procedures so everyone knows what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Consider this scenario. You just sent your team to work from home until further notice. While specialized employees know their job and what they are responsible to do, you have a department coordinator who supports the administrative needs of the entire team. Normally in the office, the staff all talks to one another about projects and their need to support from the coordinator to ensure she's not overloaded. However, without structure in place, that remote coordinator may end up with everyone on the team asking for help, and suddenly you're paying a fortune in overtime when you're supposed to be watching expenses. Consider your entire team's workflow and make sure there is defined structure, especially when it comes to remote teams. Without it, you can be easily surprised with not so great news. Have reliable tools. It's an absolute essential to have web-based tools to manage a remote team. If you don't already have communication and productivity tools established for your organization, you better get that lined up fast. There are hundreds of apps and subscriptions that can be used as a permanent or temporary basis. To select the right tools, do a Google search. Watch YouTube videos, ask friends or colleagues what they use, and read comments about the tools to narrow down your selection. Then sign up for a trial of one or two of the tools you think that might be a fit. I've had experiences where I thought I'd found the right tool only to get completely frustrated during the initial setup and quickly decided that that was not the tool for us. Stay focused on goals, not activity. This is a really tough one if you're used to being able to see all of your employees and can monitor and gauge productivity in seconds. Remote employees will have the opportunity to binge on Facebook for a few hours and you won't know the difference. Don't get caught up in the fact that a person may or may not have put in the full 40 hours this week. Instead, focus on whether or not they accomplished their goals. I love rewarding efficient employees who get the job done well in less time so they can spend an extra hour at the dog park. Those are the types of benefits that some employees thrive on, and you will find yourself getting work done well and ahead of schedule. It ends up being a win-win for everyone. Learn to listen better and ask more questions. Unless you are always on video chat, it is key that you pay close attention to the words and tone of your employees' communication, both verbal and written. When an employee sends you an email with a sentence in all caps, follow up to find out what's going on. There could be something going on that is influencing productivity and customer service. Just because an employee is working from home, they still represent the company in every communication. And by asking questions, you may avert a larger problem that an employee wasn't sure how to talk to you about. Talk about the tough stuff. If you think having a difficult conversation with an employee who's remote is so much easier than in person, think again. The tendency for many managers of a remote team is to ignore problems. It will work itself out, and we all know that unaddressed problems lead to bigger problems. When you have an employee issue, address it head on. Video calls are preferred over just voice calls so you can make eye contact and read body language. Just as you would prepare for an in-person conversation with an employee, focus on the facts of the situation, the expectations that weren't met, and ask for their input on how to improve. Establish bonds for help and support. No one likes feeling like they're on an island with no help and no support. Create relationships with your employees. You've probably heard the quote, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." This is especially true for teleworking employees. The more they know you care, the more engaged and connected they will feel as a team. Help and support can come in many ways, such as simple text messages or a quick call just to see how they're doing. So there you have it. Ways to effectively lead and manage your remote teams. I hope you found some nuggets of information that you find useful. The coronavirus may have forced you to quickly make your team teleworkers, but once it's over, don't expect employees to be excited about rushing back to the office. What you learn now will set you up for defining your organization's best practices for future teleworking employees. If you'd like to learn more about specific communication and productivity tools that I've used or recommend, or need help getting started documenting your processes and standards to get your remote team quickly organized, give me a call or shoot me an email. My contact information is on the screen. Good luck, everyone.